Today I want to talk about how to be successful here at the Schneider IC Choice program. There's a lot of people making YouTube videos, and some people say do the short game, some people say do the long game. There are people that, well, I do a combination. I do a couple of short ones, a couple of long ones, and then that's good. And then you've got different circumstances. Like me, my truck payment isn't as high, so I don't have to run as tight as like somebody with a higher payment than me. The Schneider finance guys have a tendency that they have to run a little bit longer and harder, but also smarter too. But the key word, the key to success here and anywhere else, to be honest with you, is flexibility. A lot of drivers get in a groove, I myself included, where you tend to do the same customers, same places, and you do that for a while, and then all of a sudden you become complacent, and then whenever you got to go out of your norm, you start, guys start stressing out, or they get pissed off, or my normal loads are being taken, or they're not showing up on the load board, or company guys are taking them, blah blah blah. And I have a friend of mine that was an IC here, and he had to be home every weekend, no matter what, and so his whole business was based around being home on the weekend, and that's fine. But there were times when, you should probably work this weekend because something will happen, or something happened at home, or, because every time you go home, you're missing out on money, in some places, some companies, if you go home for more than 4 days or 3 days, if you're a company guy, they'll make you clean your truck out so they can let someone else have it. Or if you're a lease guy, you'll go in the hole because, 4 days of revenue, if you're making $500 a day, that's $2,000. Wait, yeah. So the key is flexibility. So if, let's say you run from St. Louis to Columbus, Ohio, you do that every week, you do that all the time, and you do that 3 or 4 times a week, and that's all you do. That's fine, that you find a groove, and you stick with it if it's making you money. But one of these days, it's going to be gone. It's not going to be there. So if you look at the load board and you don't want to do anything else besides those particular loads, well, you're missing out on a lot of money. And again, this is from experience, not me telling you this is what you should do, blah, blah, blah. It is me going, hey, you know what? This is where I've screwed up. And this is where I've seen others screw up. A lot of guys come over here and they think that they're going to be home every weekend, which that is doable. You could make that happen. However, sometimes you got to go outside of your box. Sometimes you got to go outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes the loads that get you home for the weekend are not going to be there. It's kind of like if you run a trucking company and you've only got 2 accounts. They call that putting all your eggs in one basket. And the one or both those accounts suddenly contract with somebody else. Well, now you can't run your trucking business because you've got no customers. So it's kind of the same thing. If you put all your eggs in one basket, one of these days, here's the thing. The only thing that never changes in trucking, the only thing that doesn't change in trucking is the fact that it's always changing. Does that make sense? The only thing constant in trucking is that it's change. You know, everybody's talking about how the old days are gone and this, that, and the other. Well, the people that evolve with the industry are the ones that are going to survive. If you have these trucking companies that have had the same accounts for 20 years and then those accounts go belly up, you know, then these trucking companies are struggling with low boards or brokered freight because, you know, they haven't had to use them for the last so many years. So, you know, I can think of a couple of companies locally where I live that are losing big accounts that have been there for a long time. So the same thing goes with the one truck operation. You know, if you constantly do the same customers, well, then you're not studying the low board. Then you're not learning the freight lanes. You're not learning where the money is. You're not learning how to run your business. You're just, you know, putting the truck in the wind and hope that these loads never cancel. So, flexibility and then also sacrifice. There's going to be weekends that you're going to have to run. There's going to be a holiday or two that you should probably run. Especially, you know, I know of a guy that owns his own trucking company. He signs on owner-operators. And last Christmas, he worked for I think around between Christmas and New Year's. And he made a ridiculous amount of money. That's the only time he runs his own truck. You know, the other time he's running the other trucks. You know, doing all the office work and everything. But for a small period of time during the holidays, he goes out and runs his own truck. And he makes a killer amount of money. And he's done it for several years because he knows that's where the money's at. You know, no one wants to run over Christmas, so it's harder to find trucks. So capacity changes, boom, now rates are through the roof, you know. But it takes a level of sacrifice to do that. So, you know, sometimes you got to buckle up and just hunker down and just, you know, put it in the wind and stay out for a minute, you know. Now, if you find a groove, you know, and stick with it, that's fine. But you got to be able to make that change when, not if, but when it comes along. So, just some quick advice, you know, something I've learned the hard way. That's flexibility and sacrifice, and you'll be successful. See you.